I call this meeting of the Alvin Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. First, we'll have the invocation by Trustee Johnson, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by, is Sebastian Saucedo here? Good deal. Sebastian Saucedo will, from York Elementary, will lead us into pledges, and I'll give you a little update on Sebastian. The Office of the First Lady of Texas selected a group of artworks from the Youth Art Month Spring Exhibition to be showcased in the Governor's Business Office for 1 year. And Sebastian's artwork was one of 16 pieces selected to be displayed. The artworks are framed by TAEA and student artists. Families and teachers are invited to a private reception in their honor. So after we do the prayer, we're going to get you to lead the pledges to the flag, okay? So if you all stand now.
Please stand if you can and bow your heads. Dear Father, we come to you today seeking your blessing upon our community in this district and those who are assembled today. Lord, please continue to grant us unity within Alvin ISD, within our businesses and the rest of this community and throughout our state. Lord, I also ask that you continue to empower us to play our part individually in creating unity in our lives and in our public and professional service. Lord, please continue to protect those that serve this district on a daily basis and continue to pray for those that are less fortunate than us this evening. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much.
Sebastian, what is it you like to do at school? Why do you like school so much?
Here you go. Let's come stand over here.
There you go.
I like school really much because I get to learn about math, reading, and on Wednesdays I get to go to art.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Thank you. And who did you bring as your guest? Who brought you here this evening?
My dad.
Your dad. What's his name?
Ruben Salceda.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good job.
All right, next we have a request to consider approval of a resolution. The Alvin ISD Board of Trustees would like to nominate Superintendent Nelson for the Texas Association of School Boards 2024 Superintendent of the Year. The resolution is the first step in the nomination process. I will now read the resolution. Resolution of the Alvin Independent School District Board of Trustees regarding the nomination of Superintendent of Schools Carol Nelson for the Texas Association of School Boards 2024 Superintendent of the Year. Whereas Alvin ISD Superintendent of Schools Carol Nelson has served the district, students, families, and staff with distinction for over 5 years. Whereas Superintendent Nelson has worked in concert with the Board of Trustees to launch and develop innovative programs that expand opportunities for all students to realize their full potential and talent. Whereas Alvin ISD has garnered recognition for growth realized during the superintendent's leadership, advancing digital connectivity, and establishing an effective incentive program of recruitment and retention for outstanding teachers and staff. Whereas Carol Nelson has consistently served as an advocate for the public education, meeting with local and state officials. Whereas Alvin ISD continues to make significant strides for students, staff, and families under Carol Nelson's leadership. Now, before it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Alvin Independent School District hereby endorse the nomination of Carol Nelson for the 2024 Texas Association of School Board Superintendent of the Year, approved the 9th day of April 2024 by the Alvin Independent School Board of Trustees. So at this time, we need to have a motion to approve the resolution in support of nominating Superintendent Nelson for the TASB 2024 Superintendent of the Year.
So moved.
by trustee Harris, second by trustee Scott. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very humbled, and I enjoy serving, and so I really didn't expect this. I don't need it. I just want to continue to serve our families and students each and every day to the best of my ability, along with the wonderful staff that we have here, and I couldn't do it without the staff. So thank you to our staff, because you make it possible each and every day. So thank you. And to our board for your continued support.
We recognize what you do every day, and we want the rest of the state to recognize what you do. So,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, so let's celebrate our staff and the great things our staff and students are doing. First, our 2024 Teacher of the Year finalist recently went through their interviews, and we will find out who the winner is to represent Alvin ISD at both the secondary and elementary levels at our employee recognition banquet. And so we're very excited. That will be held at Iowa Colony High School on May the 9th. We will also recognize our retirees and other service awards at that banquet. But congratulations to all of these professional employees who represent Alvin ISD each and every day and work so hard for our students to provide them with the best academic, high achievement curriculum and support throughout the district to our students. So thank you. Congratulations to each one of them. We also had our Alvin ISD Believes Awards on March the 21st. Alvin ISD administrators went out on a mission to surprise 25 district employees with the Alvin ISD Believes Award. The recognition aligns with our district's vision of each student every day, and our mission, which underscores Alvin ISD's commitment to excellence for every student in each program. These awards honor outstanding individuals who embody our core beliefs, and I will tell you that we saw many tears that day, many smiles, so much appreciation and support from colleagues to their colleagues that received the awards. So congratulations to our Believes Awards recipients. We have Iowa Colony High School FFA Charter. The Texas FFA Director is recommending the finalization of a permanent charter for Iowa Colony FFA Chapter at the June 4th Texas FFA Board meeting. A couple of weeks ago, the students had to present to the Texas FFA Board or Director and the Texas FFA Membership Coordinator about a plan for their chapter. The state staff asked them many questions pertaining to their presentation and their ideas for future growth. They had some of the best answers the state staff had heard. And I also want to say thank you to our other FFA charters in the district who helped support and get this started for our students. Our Ready program. Students graduated, and that was a wonderful celebration. Last Tuesday evening was truly special as we celebrated the graduation of 100 children and their families from the 23-24 Alvin ISD Ready program. This 20-week program is designed to prepare preschoolers and their parents for success in pre-K and kindergarten. And so this is a great family engagement outreach to our community to engage those young students who are preparing to enter into our formal school per se, but they meet twice a week, and so it's very rewarding program for these families and young children. And there were grandparents there and aunts and uncles, and it was a great sight, and they were so excited. So we look forward to continuing to serve these families on their educational endeavor over the next several years. Alvin ISD art students painted a mural, and two groups of Alvin High School students, advanced art students, spent a couple of days painting a mural at the Alvin Animal Adoption Center. It was a great experience for the students to work on a community arts project that benefits such a worthy cause. And we talk about, and I know it's in November, but we actually, throughout the year, our students serve the communities where they live and where they attend school, and this is just another way of showing service and giving back to the community. Alvin ISD had great dance success a couple of weekends ago. All 4 of our high school campuses in Alvin ISD competed in dance contest season. Congratulations to the Iowa Colony Legends, the Shadow Creek High School Sapphires, and the Manville High School Majestics on all their successes this year. Watch for all 4 dance team spring show announcements this month. And the next slide. The national champions were Alvin High School Jacketeers. They had a banner season as the top scoring team in the C.E. King Regional Dance Contest, top scoring team in the Katy High School State Contest, and the top scoring team in both team and officers categories at the Showtime Nationals Contest at Moody Gardens. So congratulations to all of our dance teams and to our national champions. Those are all stellar programs with great leaders. We have our upcoming job fair at Shadow Creek High School this coming Saturday, April the 20th from 9 to 11:30 a.m. So if anyone out here is looking for a job, come see us. We have not only teaching openings, we have paraprofessional. We'll also have our auxiliary areas set up with tables if you're interested in custodial, bus driver, whatever child nutrition, we will have areas for those opportunities as well. So anyone you know that's looking for a job, Alvin ISD is the place to be. We have great benefits. We have great work environments. We're about relationships and building relationships for each and every child. And so come out and join us at the Shadow Creek High School Job Fair. All of our principals will be there, assistant principals, and administrative teams helping support the job fair. So thank you to HR for setting this up for us. Of course, I mentioned the employee recognition ceremony, level complete, because we talked about leveling up this year. On May the 9th, 2023-2024 employee recognition ceremony. And again, that will be at Iowa Colony High School. 5 p.m. is our reception. 6 p.m. the ceremony begins. Is that it? Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations to everyone.
Very, very good. Thank you all. Next, we have the student and faculty accommodations for Trustee Scott and Trustee Johnson. Go in front, please.
Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening, board and all our guests. Today, when we call out the names of our students, if you would like to take a photo, you are welcome to stop, come in the aisle if you need to, or wherever you are, and just take that photo of your students, because this is about them. So without further ado, we'll get started. So first, we're going to start with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, our top winners. So our FFA students had the opportunity, some of them, to compete in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo and did very well. So without further ado, we are going to recognize our first in class, our best of, reserved, grand, or blue ribbon honors. So to start with, we have Alvin High School. We have Grace Sutton. And Caitlin Lawson. Oh, we had that one under the wrong one, sorry. Do we have their teachers here for that program? No? Okay. We'll let you take
come right
photos.
up here and take pictures.
Yes.
Don't be shy.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, we have Manville High School, and we have Casey Terry. Savannah Sheffield. Addison Morosco. Brianna Briggs. Mia Aguilar. Lindsay Crow. And Ava Gurley. Are any of their teachers here tonight? No? Okay.
Ms. Clark?
Oh,
No,
if you'd like to come up?
she's taking pictures.
Oh, okay. Yeah, come on up. There we go. There we go.
And Miss,
Great job. Very impressed.
thank you, Ms. Marosco, as well, and Ms. Clark.
Okay, Shadow Creek High School. Next, we have Tori Cottrell. Chelsea Hickman. Bailey Gerald. Abigail Nizer. Adrian Figueroa.
Nice job, Abby.
John Salazar. Kendall Johnson. And Ewan Rudolph.
Parents, come on up. Come on up.
Do we have their teachers here by any chance? Oh, awesome. Yes, come on in. And you want to tell the audience who you are? I'm Ms. Ruddick. Thank you.
Ruddick. Thank you, Ms. Ruddick.
It's a good-looking group there,
Congratulations.
all of them. Congratulations. And I did want to mention that the special recognition to Manville High School's Casey Terry, she received Best in Show Grand Champion overall for her champagne breeding rabbit. So great job. Okay, next we have the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo School Art Contest. So this has been offered to school. The School Art Contest has been offered for more than 50 years. The contest offers students the chance to dive deep into the Western art theme through their artwork. This event offers participating students the chance to participate in the Glassell School of Art and Western Art Academy. All high school participants may apply for scholarship opportunities, and winning pieces have the opportunity to be auctioned off for a cash prize. So congratulations to the following students whose artwork has been awarded Best of Show, Gold Medal, and Special Merit for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So we will start with Rahana Bahiri. Hannah Dowdy. Nathan Everett. Nusrat Hussain. Edna Euricia. Danica Salario. Kayla Hill. Anaya Stringer. Ari Thomas. Ash Vitek. Kendall Davis. And Alonzo Ibarra. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, scoot together a little closer.
Maybe
just
some
so they
step up
can-
on this front
Yes.
row, the back row here.
Well, some of you step up on that step behind you and then we can squeeze in. There you go, and
There we
then
go.
the
Now
front,
everybody else
squeeze
kinda
in,
move
yeah.
in.
Go ahead and
There we
squeeze
go.
in the front.
Don't fall.
While they're doing that, I would like to mention that Ash Vitek's 3D piece was selected as a School Art 3D Premium winner. Although the artwork was not auctioned, the students still will receive a cash premium for that. So congratulations. Are there teachers here? Any of the teachers here? Yes, if you'll come up and get in the pictures as well. Great job.
And thank you to our teachers who cultivate the talent in
Yes.
these students.
Thank
Without
you
you,
very much.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
And next we have the academic decathlon. The Alvin High School academic decathlon team traveled to the state championship in Frisco, Texas on February 22nd, 2024. Alvin High School Acadec walked away with 9 medals and scored their highest point total in 3 years. So, without further ado, we will call up Chris Trevino, Ray Pineda, Bobby Shrunk, Devin Gorley, Jaden Gomez, Alex Morden, Cameron Goodman, Jacob Caldwell, and Scott Hughes. And just so you know, Scott also received a medal and scholarship for his 5th place overall finish in the varsity division. And they are coached by Paul Summy and Denise Summy. So if y'all are here, if you
Yes,
come
they're
up.
here.
There you are.
Mr. and Mrs. Summy.
Didn't see y'all back there. And if y'all want to take a step up, some of you on the back, and then let's squeeze in. Yeah, that would be helpful. And everybody just squeeze in. There we go. One more.
That's-
There. That works.
Okay.
That works. Good job. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Summy.
So next we have staff commendations, and so we have Holly Knight. So Manville Junior High dance teacher Holly Knight received the Texas Dance Educator Association 2024 Lifetime Achievement Award. She received this award at the annual conference in January. So congratulations to you, Miss Knight. Awesome job.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
At this time, you're more than welcome to stay, but if the kiddos want to go home and do homework and stuff, this would be the time to go.
Do homework.
Thank y'all all for coming out tonight.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Perfect, we'll see you there.
Making sure.
Congratulations.
I was at the top of my class. I didn't want to say nothing.
Thank you, Ms. Summy. Brain power just went.
No. One way to clear a room.
Oh, sure. You want me to come over here?
Do it in front of the. You get in front of the A?
Yeah,
Do it in front of the.
Let me move and y'all get right in front of this.
Mom.
Do it in front of the A. Yeah.
That way we can all get in the back. No, I'm joking. You're welcome.
That's awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah. We almost used. I think we almost used the whole bucket of medals.
All right, we'll move on now.
Yeah.
School board members must complete training that is required by the State Board of Education, and the board president must publicly announce whether each board member has met their training requirement. This announcement must be made at the last regular meeting prior to the board election. The board election this year will be held on May 4, 2024. At this time, all Alvin ISD board members have met or exceeded their yearly requirements for continuing their education. So thank you all. All right, next we go to presentations. Carol?
So this evening, Board, we have our enrollment projection forecast from Zonda Demographics, and we have Mr. Rocky Gardner here to present. And so feel free to ask questions as well. He'll ask at the end if y'all have any questions, but lots of great information coming our way. Rocky?
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. It's a pleasure to be back in Alvin. Everybody hear me okay? I don't know if I have to bend over for that or not. So this is your fourth quarter report. So keep in mind, this is data at the end of December. Our first quarter just ended, but the data doesn't come out for about 2 more weeks. So you'll get one more report probably in May that we usually email out. It's mostly a housing report because at that point your projections are kind of set, right? So first of all, we're just understanding just how many homes are being built. Even though homes are kind of down overall, you can see on this chart we're down slightly. Houston and Dallas remain the 2 hottest housing markets in the country. So we're building more homes by far than any other area in the U.S. and of course that's being played out in Houston. This new chart here is kind of a summary look by the Census Bureau of surveyed data, American Community Survey. If you're familiar with that, the Census Bureau surveys about 3.5 million people each year. They take a 3-year snapshot and then they generate this data. So it does have probably a margin of error considering they're surveying 3.5 million people in the whole country. So there is some margin of error there. But I think the truth part of it is that bottom where it shows the millennials and you see the millennial and then Generation Z. It just shows how young your community is from my perspective. You can see that you've got over 60% of your population is in that, born after 1991. So, which of course stimulates the growth that we're seeing, and it just kind of supports that conversation. There's a lot of other information there that you can, if you can't sleep one night or something, check it out. It's really pretty good stuff. If we look at the housing market itself, so starts and closings, keep in mind a start is as soon as they break ground, a closing is an occupied home. The starts and closings trail, they've always been very tight, kind of together until interest rates started to accelerate, build time started to accelerate, and then things kind of, builders realized they might have overbuilt a little bit. So at that point, they slowed down, their closings slowed down, but their starts were still going. So then they finally had to stop building. So that's why that purple line began to drop off about 6 quarters ago, and because they worked off all those closings. Now these closings have come down and they're increasing their start rates again. So we're seeing things shift. Fourth quarter is usually a little bit smaller, and then as we get into summer, you're going to see some higher numbers. If you look at overall housing, this was the challenge, deed transactions. So we pulled deed transactions for every home that sells in Alvin ISD, whether it's a new or existing home. And then we look at that overall number. You can see that we've trended down to about 3,100 this past year. And again, this lack of inventory can have impact in two ways. Number one, we're not going to regenerate as quickly because people are staying in their homes. They're sitting on that 3% interest rate. And if they move, it's going to be 6%. So they're going to get a lot less money for their house. So they're staying there. Therefore, that home can't turn over to a new home with new students. And then, of course, that doesn't help the new home market because they're not moving to new homes. So that's why things kind of slow down. Again, we expect this to accelerate going into the summer as well. The price point on these deed transactions, you see a little dip there in the new prices. And we've been seeing that throughout Texas now where the new home prices have dropped a little bit because, of course, they're trying to attract buyers. Your existing home inventory, that 369, that's a really popular price point. But like I said, there's just not folks moving from it, so there's not a lot of inventory. If we look, I pushed that too fast. There we go. If we look overall, so this is all about new housing now. So we're transitioning to new housing. This is a ranking report. Alvin sits at number 7 based on closings. We rank this by closings because those are occupied homes, and that's where your students are going to come from. So 1,620 occupied homes in a trailing 12 months. In this case, it was for the 2023 school year. 985 students homes in inventory. So that's a home that is either under construction or finished but vacant. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. 2,400 VDL and over 19,000 futures. So we've got plenty of housing to keep going. It's just going to be a matter of kind of when these builders begin to kind of regain some confidence. Yes, sir.
Rocky, can you remember what VDL is? I'm sorry, just what's VDL again?
Vacant developed lot.
All right, thanks.
Sorry, that means it's ready to be built on right now.
And what qualifies a future?
A future is anything that we're aware of, that there's at least been a plat or substantial conversation.
Okay.
Most of that is raw land right now. Now, we don't do speculative lots. So if we don't really have some really good conversation or a plat out there of some kind, it's not included.
So mostly with developers.
Mostly developers, yeah. Yes. Ma'am. These are your starts and closings by quarter. So you can see the fourth quarter, we closed over 350 homes. We started just over 260. I think it was 289. That start rate, like I said, often drops off in the fourth quarter. So, and you see last year's fourth quarter was 172, and then you can see where you picked up going into the summer, and I think that'll happen again. But still, you closed 1,600 homes in a trailing 12 months. This chart here tells you where the growth is happening. And basically,
Rocky,
yes, sir.
So on a couple slides ago, you showed that inventory was comparatively low compared to some of the others.
Yep.
So when you talk about it bumping up in the summer, isn't that kind of throttled because the inventory is low?
If there aren't lots being delivered. Because they're delivering more lots, that's what's going to get things going this summer. So we are slow because of inventory. And this slide also has inventory on. I was going to talk a little more about that inventory because the reason I think that there's been a little bit of slack in inventory there is because we have so many finished vacant homes. That's a significant number right now. At the end of the fourth quarter, if you subtract the 639 from the 985, that's what your finished vacant inventory looked like. So that's over 300 homes that were sitting waiting for a buyer. Now, many of those, because now we're well into the first quarter, and I'm hoping when first quarter data comes out, much of that finished vacant inventory will get worked down. But if it doesn't get worked down, that's when we have a challenge with the vacant developed lots. If we don't, their developers aren't going to keep building if they're not seeing some momentum going. And I think those start rates, what we're looking for is start rates to jump up well over 300 going into first quarter, so we can then see lot deliveries as well. And those lot deliveries do continue to happen. This chart here, we've got 60 actively building subdivisions. You've got 35 future subdivisions. But what I really like about this chart is where you see the red outlines. The red outlines on there is where they have groundwork underway. So a future lot that's a future right now, but they start pushing dirt, that means they're developing lots for delivery. So we have 2,500 lots that are being developed right now, which would double your vacant developed lot inventory. Once all of those are delivered, it'll be late summer probably. I think they delivered 146 lots in the fourth quarter. But what that tells us is there's some confidence out there in some developers because they're building and developing so many lots. You can see it's all right there over there in the Meridiana area, right near your newest campuses. Actually, is where they're going to be building the most homes or continue to build the most homes. We got a couple slides here. This is just Cantera Creek, 850 total lots, 200s to 400s, a good price point there. They'll be priced well. They're just kind of, you can see they got the roads cut on that aerial to the left there was at the end of December. The roads were cut. So they'll be starting to build homes there this summer, likely at Cantera. And again, this was a future. This was considered future until they started putting these roads in. Another one is the Meridiana area. I just want to talk for a second about it. We've got over 2,000 homes occupied there now with a strong yield of 0.53. We use these yields to do our enrollment projections. So a student yield is how many students we get per home. So when you see a 0.53 up there, it's basically saying there's about 5 students for every 10 homes, or 50 students for every 100. So when Meridiana gets built out, we're going to be looking at over 3,000 students out there. So just kind of understanding that for us then tells us as new homes are getting built in that area, they're going to yield similarly. They're going to yield pretty similarly.
I know, that's a hard word.
Try
similar.
that 3 times fast.
Well, Rocky, when we were talking the other day, you had mentioned that people are having children later in life as well, which I found that very interesting, that has an
is.
effect on kids in school and when they enter our schools.
Yeah, I think having those children well into their 30s now, that is a new thing. Birth rates were down, but now birth rates are starting to climb again because those kids are now getting older, and so we're seeing that as well. I think you have a lot of homes probably that have little ones in it.
Okay.
And they're going to be in schools
Entering
soon.
our schools.
Yeah, and that's going to be the new targets, right? Taking care of them. The multifamily markets in Houston have slowed. That their occupancy rates have dropped now to below 90%. These apartments like to be well over 90%. And they're down to about 88%. What's happening is it's a combination of things. There was a slowdown of people because they weren't moving out of houses. They weren't moving at all. And then we added so many lots. So they added over 6,000 multifamily units. So when you add those units across, you're obviously going to be kind of pillaging off of each other. So everybody's occupancy drops a little bit. And there's been talk that because there's a kind of demand has dropped a little bit, that we'll even see like 10,000 less apartments built in Texas in the next couple of years. So we're going to be slowing down a little bit. And you even see the prices that, even their average rents are dropping a little bit as well. We do have a little bit of 950 future multifamily units. That's those kind of green colors there. We do have a project that just started up in Pearland Town Center. It's right behind that the hotel at the courtyard, that open space back there. They're going to put an apartment complex in there. We haven't had any movement there for quite a while. That's going to take a little bit, but that's another multifamily that's going to be coming online. This is Pomona multifamily phases 1 and 2. So you can see they're just clearing dirt. In February, they had just cleared dirt. So you still have a couple years before you have students from that. We do get some pretty strong yields from your multifamily up in that area. We always have. They've always been strong yields. It's a combination of probably being the destination district and also of people that are buying homes, but their home's not done. So they're going to rent for a little while. So get a combination of that. But you've had some really high yields out in that area historically. And let's see, projections. Our projections, we're still forecasting growth of 600 students next year. If you think of that from the number of the housing that we're seeing is just around that 15 to 1,600 new homes. So that yield is somewhat moderate, but a lot of that is because your kindergarten classes haven't been, we need to start seeing some growth in that kindergarten. If their kindergarten doesn't grow, then that translates all the way through your enrollment. Once you get a small kindergarten class, things move. And that's one thing we're beginning to see a little bit now. If you got an exiting class of 2,000 students and your entering class is 1,800, you're losing 200 students before you even start. So if you look at next year, really we're growing the district over 800 students next year. So we're growing the district about at that 0.5 yield, but we lose a little bit because of that attrition from that large senior class. Hope that makes sense. By campus, you can see here, we do have a little bit of red. We're gradually working the red off of this. It's been, as we open these campuses, this includes opening Bennett next year, and it also includes opening the Iowa Colony Junior High next year. So we've got that going on. We're balancing, I think I presented to the CAC couple weeks ago. We talked about stuff, so I know they're still looking at opportunities, and we're going to gradually, I'm not going to say before I retire, but someday I'd like to see a chart without red on it in
Go
Alvin.
back one slide, please.
Sure.
So Bennett, I'm looking at Bennett. Sorry, you can't hear me. So 3 years in, we're expecting to be at capacity.
Yeah, they're going to be, that's your strongest growth corridor right in there too.
Yep.
And that's what CAC is looking at,
Yeah.
at making a recommendation, possibly.
So, and if you take Pomona, for example, there's still a lot of building, but you have Duke, you have, Merrick, you have Brothers. So there's some elementary surrounding that. Is that something that the committee would have to look at as far as zone, when we get to zoning and things like that? If you look at,
So our boundary committee would, not the CAC, but the boundary committee then would look and see where those seats available are.
right,
And,
because those schools in
Yeah.
Shadow Creek are kind of phasing out with population with younger kids.
correct, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Their-
not quite.
their level, yeah.
Yeah, their yields have dropped a little bit out there from where they were really high years ago. And
Yes.
They're kind of leveling off now. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's enough.
Well, the demand dropped slightly over the last, but there's, we're still the number 2 market in the country, and I think that's going to continue to be on pace in Houston. Groundwork's underway on 2,500 homes, or 2,500 lots, let's be clear there. And then we got, we're forecasting 33,000 students within 5 years and over 37,000 students within 10 years. And that forecast is very similar to what you would have seen in 3Q. 'Cause I typically don't adjust the projections unless we see a big shift in the housing market either way. And it stayed pretty steady to where we were expecting. So that's kind of where you're at today. I'm happy to talk.
Board, do you have any questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
A lot of information, a
All
lot
right,
of
guys.
great information.
Well, if you have anything, just let us know and we'll get you some answers.
And we will post this on our website, so that way it's available to
Just curious, sorry.
staff. And-
Yes, sir.
Sorry, my head was still spinning. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around 3 years of a new school opening when we see these projections that go out, 5 or 6 years, and I know, so this may have been presented before I was here. And we talk about, so this may touch a couple of points when we talk about safety and capacity of classrooms and things like that, student-teacher ratio. So when we build a new campus with the projection of 3 years, it being at capacity, are we already factoring in temporary buildings, or are we combining those talks with planning and zoning to offset that?
So that's what CAC is working on currently, and so they're getting this data as well, and they're making suggestions amongst their groups, and we do activities. And so right now, one of their suggestions is that within the next 5 to 7 years, it appears, based upon the demographic information, is that we might possibly need 2 to 3 elementary schools to alleviate the crowding based upon the growth. And so that's something that at our next meeting, we're going to bring them some pricing, and they'll decide if they want to go with 2 or they want to go with 3. And then should they then come up with packages, then we're going to have them come and present to the board what the recommendation is to address the growth. So one of the things we have done with the committee is we've also shared that, just because we say, like, we're at the end of 2018 bond, but just because we say we need a school in 3 years, you don't start it and open it the next year. We've got to have the land, we've got to have all the surveys and the testing of the soil and the engineers so it's a process. And then once the construction starts for elementary, it's about 18 months. So that's why it's very timely, and that's why I believe y'all all called the CAC together, because we knew we were at the end of 2018, that we felt like with the data we've been getting, that we're probably going to need some more schools down there. So we anticipate that there might be a recommendation. I don't want to speak for that committee because we want to wait until they get all their findings together, but we anticipate they'll come forward to the board and propose something. So that will help with alleviate the growth. But as of right now, one of the questions that came up in CAC is, well, what if we propose a bond and it doesn't pass? What do you do? Well, there's portable buildings that we can do, which we've had to do in the past. I recalled and I shared with them when I was a principal at Passmore. I think I said I was an assistant principal at that time. There were no more seats, and we had to bus kids out to Don Jeter at that time. So we put them on buses. They came to Passmore. We were full, so we had to bus them out to Don Jeter. So those are the things you have to look at. What are the options if a bond doesn't pass? How do we maximize and use the seats that we have? And fortunately, we have schools that are close enough together, and we have seats in some of the Shadow Creek elementary schools, so we would probably have to bus versus moving in portable buildings. So there's all kinds of different options depending on what direction the community goes, the taxpayers go, right? But we continually base our decisions on the data that we receive.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky.
Yep.
You want me to go ahead with the next? Okay. So our next presentation this evening is going to be presented by our Curriculum Department Executive Director, Dr. Hobbs will be here to share our reading language arts. And will you be doing social studies as well? Okay. And then we also have Dr. Glenn Russell, and he'll be chiming in as well. So.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you tonight. I am so happy to be able to present to you our current state of literacy in Alvin ISD. And when we speak about literacy, I have I'm fortunate enough to speak about how we are growing a group of authors and journalists, but also historians, and how we integrate literacy in the practices of each of those every day. So I want to give you a little bit of background right before we dig into the data just a little bit about where we've come with literacy over about the last 10 years or so. We took a look at our data and realized we weren't trending in the way that we wanted to go. And so as a group of stakeholders in the literacy world, we came together and decided we needed a comprehensive literacy plan. When we looked at a graduate of Alvin ISD, what did we expect for them as a literate citizen? What did we want them to be able to do as a graduate? And when we came together and created that plan, it is the work that we do through everything we do every day filters through that comprehensive literacy plan, but it was also a precursor to many things that were going to change, and we'll talk about those as we go along. So this comprehensive plan truly is what we believe as a core literacy group and what we want for our students. And it is very much about aligning the practices, but also making sure that our students have equity in their education every day, that our teachers have equity in the resources that they have and in their instructional development, and that our campuses and our administrators also have the support that they need in order to be successful. So we grounded our work in research that really truly just goes back to vocabulary and how students have to have a bank of vocabulary words to speak, to be able to listen and comprehend what's being told to them, but also to be readers and writers. And we know that there's some inequity in the amount of vocabulary that students come to school with depending on their experiences and their background. So in order to level that playing field, we had to make sure that we are providing strong literacy practices for our students every day. And so what does that look like? This is just a quick example of vocabulary words that were on the STAR test last year. You can see the richness and the rigor in those are a little bit difficult to see, but there might be a few words up there you might not know. And that's what our students are required to do on a yearly basis. So what does that mean? This is what we came together and we started read, write, repeat. And that's truly what we want for our kids every day, for our teachers, and for anyone as part of our literacy community. And that goes for our families and for you guys as our board. Read a little, write a little, and repeat that process. And this is the commitment we're making to you and to each of our students. So our core beliefs, as you can see, there's a lot of words on this screen, but if you'll just hone in on some of those brightly colored words, as far as our beliefs go, we want students to have choice. We want them to have access to authentic text. We want teachers to have the resources that they need, and we want administrators to have the support that they need to be able to grow their students on their campus. As all of this was coming through, we also had a change in the TEKS. You might recall it being called English. Now the state refers to it as Reading Language Arts. We love acronyms, so that's also known as RLA. So as those standards changed, we saw a change in what students were required to do. Unlike math and science, it's not a linear process teaching reading. And so each of the strands, the leaves, you would say, of this tree and the roots play a critical role in our students becoming literate. And all of these processes are happening simultaneously. You can't teach them in isolation in order for our students to be successful and to be literate. So as those changes were being made, we also had the change in the STAR test as well. And then some of you might remember that in the past, only 4th grade, 7th grade, and EOCs participated in a writing STAR test. Well, that changed as well. And so now we have short constructed responses where students are required to write 2 to 3 sentences in science, social studies, and reading language arts STAR test, and then a long essay starting in 3rd grade all the way through to our EOC. So that was a big change for us moving forward. And then we did have this change in STAR 2.0. You might have heard it referred to that. And that was when we went to complete online testing and some of our question types changed. So not only did we have to adjust instruction, but we needed to make sure that our literacy beliefs aligned with what the state was requiring. Thankfully, all of these changes that have happened, we were already on board in making those changes in our instruction, so it wasn't a shock to us. It just changed the way the tests look and the way that students were asked to perform that one day out of the school year. We also have interval data progress monitoring in the district, and that you saw in January when we came to you and we talked to you about our district improvement plan and where we were at the mid-year. And so we do believe that continuing that monitoring progress at short intervals, not just at STAR data, has helped us to continue to make gains with our students. So I'm going to give you a very quick glance at some of our current data. This is our current reading levels for the end of the third 9 weeks, which finished just before spring break. And what you can see here is there's a 3-year present for you. The bottom where the orange arrow is where we currently are. And you can see as we continue to decrease the amount of students who are reading below level in kindergarten and 1st grade. I will make a short note to let you know that we have the expectations for the end of year kindergarten and beginning of year 1st grade have increased this year because we want to make sure we are staying in line with national expectations. And so we anticipate that may dip, but we'll see it come back up. But as you can see right now, we're holding steady and we're very proud of that. In 2nd and 3rd grade, you can also see our current scores. We'll tell you 2nd grade is not where we want it to be, and that has been a focus for us this year. We have made gains up to this point, and we do feel like we are on track to continue to make gains in that. But that has the beauty of the structure that we have in place with our instructional coaches on campus, our built-in professional learning days, and our ability to respond to the curriculum and make changes very quickly when we see things aren't working continues to impact those scores. Then I'll show you 4th and...
Just a quick question. So
Yeah.
can you go back to that slide a second?
Yes.
So the 2nd grades are at 30.36%. Is it fair to say when those 2nd graders become 3rd graders, then that 27% might bump up simply because that previous grade is moving forward?
So normally, we do see a little bit of a dip over the summer because there is some reading loss over the summer, but generally that percentage will stay. The goal would be to continue to decrease the amount of students reading on level. I will tell you, it takes sometimes multiple years to get a student reading on level. And so what you'll continue to see is that 2nd and 3rd grade might not look so great, but what ends up happening normally as they move into 4th and 5th grade, that number continues to dip. And then we're going to show you junior high scores. Long terms, we're getting students to where they need to be. It just takes time. A lot of that, our population plays a role in that. I'll be very honest with you.
When you say population, what do you mean?
With the lack of,
Economically
yes, economics plays a lot. Experience,
disadvantaged.
yes, with that vocabulary development, what they come to kindergarten knowing and not knowing. Yes, it is absolutely our job to meet them where they are. It just doesn't happen overnight. It is a process that it takes us.
So let me use a comparison just within our district. So a school that has a higher economically disadvantaged group of students may not be, it's not comparing apples to apples
Absolutely.
when you compare a school with 70% economically disadvantaged versus 35%. Is that research? Is that based on research or?
Oh, it's absolutely based on it, because we
Okay.
can go back to that vocabulary graph that we saw at the very beginning, and you can see the disparity in a student who comes with experiences, life experiences, with conversation at home, parents who are educated and speak with a higher vocabulary, versus a student who may not be spoken to a lot at home or spends a lot of time in a daycare where conversation and learning opportunities are not presented to them. There's a lot of research just about reading to your child every night, and just one book, the difference one book can make in the vocabulary of a growing student.
So I have around that subject, right? And y'all have heard me say this a lot. Our kids don't get to choose, how they grow up or where they live. And as a public school system, we have to meet them where they are. And so you presented a lot of data, and we have this data that says kids that are economically disadvantaged or don't have the support at home, they don't read books, or they don't have those conversations, right, that other families are afforded. If we know that data, what else can we do? Because if we're, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't do this every day, and I know a lot of work goes into this. When we're teaching kids to pass a test that doesn't necessarily allow them to fully grasp the information, it allows them to maybe be great, maybe for one day. What else can we do, either from a board perspective or just from a district perspective? What else can we do to not single those kids out, but do we put them in smaller class groups or learning groups? Do we I don't know. That's the information that I look for. Oh, did they cut my mic off?
Can I jump in real quick? Yeah. No, they didn't cut you off,
Oh.
Trustee. I'm going to jump in and I'll let you respond. Just because I'm not in the work of doing what is done each and every day. But what I do know, because I'm out on campuses, and I did this when I was a campus leader, but also as a teacher, is we have research-based practices that we do to intervene. So we have response to intervention, but we also have like small group instruction where teachers work with 3 students or 4 students at a time. We have pull-out where we take small groups out. So at any time, a classroom may not have the 22 students. They may have 13 students in there, and some students are pulled out for either dyslexia services, tutoring services, intervention services. We have trained all of our staff with 7 steps, which is some really good ESL-based research, and we've brought in professionals, Dr. McCurry, I think that was her name, and several, Ruby Payne, and people that have worked with students in struggling areas to train our teachers. Now, the challenge is, and I'll let the team speak, is that we are a fast growth district. And we constantly are hiring brand new teachers out of school, and or alternatively, I see Dr. Russell shaking his head because he does a lot of these trainings. They work with our instructional coaches. And so when we have brand new teachers coming in, and we have veteran master teachers sitting in our audience, they're the mentors trying to help these new teachers learn these practices and the art and the craft of teaching, and it doesn't happen overnight. And so I'm glad to hear Trustee Johnson, and I think other board members will agree, because I've heard them say it over the years, is it's not about a test score. Right. And the state can throw at us all the time that we're going to change the test. And I said, bring it on. We're all about accountability. We're all about we can take a test. We take tests throughout the year. So we monitor, and I think our academics department has provided the board with probably more academic information than ever before over these past 2, 3, 4 years, or since I've been superintendent. We started giving quarterly reports and updates and data. And so with that data, our leadership teams, our campus principals, our teachers, our instructional coaches, they are constantly looking at the data to meet each and every child's needs. So speaking about those kids that we know don't have those same opportunities, we provide a lot of books. We allow them to take books home. We provide small group instruction, research-based practices. That's why teachers are getting burnout, not because of that, but because there's just more and more, and they want the kids to succeed. And so they're putting their heart and soul into it. And then they turn on the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news and see our governor just trash public schools. And I'm sorry for saying that, but it infuriates me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because our staff is working their bottom off every single day for each and every child in Alvin ISD. And I know my colleagues are doing that as well across the state. And so I'm sorry to get, but I'm fired up. So sorry to take over your.
Dr. Hopkins, let me ask you a question on this. And we see the numbers, and we've got the book bus, we have the kids come in early and things like that. But during the summer, and I've heard this over and over again, kids that read here during school, at 2.5, 3 months, a lot of them don't. So they fall back. Is that true or not true?
Yes, it is true, and we will get to our slide for what our summer reading marketing will look like. I did want to just kind of say there are two things that the board has already done for us that has made an impact on our students, right? So many years ago, we came to the board and asked for support and funding for every literacy classroom to have a classroom library, and that continues to happen because of your support. And by getting books into students' hands that they choose and want to read, that's how we build lifelong readers. And so by continuing that support, that's so critical. And then the continued support with our instructional coaches. We know that having an instructional coach built into the campus that can go and support any teacher with any student every day continues to be a difference maker. And that's why we continue to see our data is trajecting and going in the direction we want it to go. And we know that it is a process, but we are making gains in that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that districts and parents working together is really key to get our students to where they need to be, entering or supporting as if their reading declines. What does Alvin ISD do to help the parents understand what that key is? I know that we have it's nights and when the families come out and they have reading fairs, but they also what else do they do besides just that?
So we offer through parent engagement, we offered a webinar so that anyone can jump on and talk about how to support your students at home.
Right.
We also provide, again, with the marketing with the summer reading campaign, here's a list of things that you can do at home with your students. Also with the literacy night, we offer parent support on those nights as well. Here's how to help your students. So just through that continued reach out to our parents, and then that reminder, read, write, repeat. Don't read a lot. You don't have to read a lot. You don't have to write a lot. But continuing that process, if we can continue to get that message out to every one of our families, that'll be the difference maker.
Thank you.
Can I?
I know we're stuck on that slide forever, but.
No, it's fine.
Just in talking to some educators, we know that there are some kids that come to the kindergarten already reading and writing, and they know their numbers, and there's other kids that have never seen a letter in them. So there's a lot of variation in what comes in the kindergarten that the Ready program helps address that to some extent, right? But the Ready program only has like a couple hundred kids in it. What could we improve to get a couple of thousand kids in that? So by the time kids get into kindergarten, they're a little better prepared than they are today.
So one of the things, Trustee Selsky, is that the full-day pre-K, opening our pre-K up to more, which we've been able to do, but we're limited on space, but we do take kids that qualify to be in pre-K. I know that Dr. Valdez and Ms. Sasson and Ms. Passarella have met, and Ms. Passarella feels like her program is capped out at what she can handle and space-wise, and she said, I'm good at the numbers we have because we're successful with what we have currently, but our outreach programs that we're doing in the summer, and she'll speak about some of those, but also just getting parents involved in the literacy piece, going to the local library, getting kids registered for library cards. And so I think, yes, the READY program is wonderful. It's a great beginning to getting into school, and we see that each year that the program has grown. And so we've looked at the challenges there and talked about that, but pre-K, getting kids into pre-K, and we do Child Find, and we're right now, Mr. Shaw's department as well as the others, we're doing pre-K roundup, kinder roundup, trying to get kids in school and getting parents to enroll their kids in school is so important. One of the things I was going to mention, Dr. Hobbs, is child development. And I think so many times the state loses sight of not every third grader is at the same level, or every kindergartner is at the same level. You can, and especially if you do some sort of achievement test, you get the scores back on a first grader, and you can have a first grader who's a 1.6, meaning he's, 6 months into being 7 years old, and you get another one that's a 1.10, so he's 10 months into being 7 years old, and there's a big difference in the developmental stages of students. So child development is so important. We're so quick to think there's something wrong because the kid's not reading by Christmas, but it could be the light bulb doesn't turn on until May, and then they're a fluent reader. And so just reminding people who are making decisions in the accountability area that not every kid is going to be a cookie cutter at the same developmental level as each one of the others.
I'll be quick.
Okay.
Now, I want to kind of clarify a couple things. I have no doubt that our teachers and you all show up and go to bat for these kids every single day. There's zero doubt in my mind. What I guess I was more so getting at is that I want to make sure, because, and I challenge anyone in Austin to come spend a day with one of these kids, right? Let alone 6 months out the year. But we know they continue to move the goalposts on us. And I want our process in Alvin to be so tight that it doesn't matter what they do with the tests or what they do with accountability ratings, what they do with the budget, that we are giving these kids every opportunity to succeed every single day they show up. And that's what I want to make sure we continue to do.
And our framework is very much set up that we teach authentic literacy. We teach you how to be a reader and a writer in all of those areas. We don't teach you how to be a test taker. That comes. When you learn how to be a reader and writer, that test will be fine. You won't worry, we don't have to worry about that. It's more about making sure that you have the authentic literacy experiences to be able to navigate through text. When you get to a word that you don't know, we want to give you the skills to be a problem solver in that situation.
One thing you did in one of these slides way back where you had everything written down, the first thing you had up there was family.
Yeah,
And that's where it begins.
it is.
And maybe some parents, it's maybe lack of knowledge of how to work with their kids and stuff. But it does start at home. These teachers, like I said, work their tails off. But it needs to start at home too.
That is our job, to continue to get that message out. I will show you, this is lagging data, of course. It's from last year's STAR test. You have the last 3 years. Of course, we're in STAR testing season right now. But as you can see, we continue to trend above the state. That's where you can see the green line is the difference between Alvin ISD and the state. I will point out from 22 to 23, we saw a slight dip, even though we were still above the state. But that was STAR redesign, and that was the inclusion of an essay from third grade all the way through EOC. We didn't expect that to happen. We didn't really know exactly what to expect from the state, but our students still performed very well, and we anticipate that we will gain all of that back plus some again this year with our interval data that we see right now and how we're trending. Okay. And just like our favorite stories, these are the favorite things that we continue to go back to that we know impact literacy in Alvin ISD. I talked to you about classroom libraries. We've talked about instructional coaches and how critical they are. But our feedback cycles with our campuses, where we come and walk with them and talk with them about things that are going very well on their campus and things that they can do to improve. And then Throughout the data we collect on those feedback cycles, we're able to come back and respond to our curriculum immediately. It's the beauty of the way the curriculum is written in Alvin ISD that if we see a lesson that's not working, we can change it. If we see that our data is trending in one direction and we don't have enough support in one area, we can make those changes very quickly. And the impact of instructional coaches on that is that's where our power is, because they help make those changes and then they get the message to the campus quickly. And we did talk about us being a fast growth district, the struggle with keeping all of our teachers up at the same level. That's the power of the instructional coaches being there to help support those new teachers. So I'm going to ask Dr. Glenn Russell to come and talk to you about secondary, and then we'll finish up with social studies.
Thank you so much for letting us talk about this. I love all the questions that you guys are asking because they align so well to the Alvin ISD beliefs that we have built our comprehensive literacy plan on. Everything that you are concerned about, everything that you've been bringing up, if you look at those comprehensive literacy beliefs, it's in perfect alignment. And so what we see here is our junior high data, and you see a lot of green there. Anywhere that's green means we are above the state. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade STAR tests for the last 3 years. What you don't see is that if you were to look at 3 and 4 years ago, we wouldn't see all green like we do right now. It has been slow and steady growth basically ever since we put our comprehensive literacy plan in place. And there are lots of different things that junior highs are doing to kind of achieve a lot of that growth. There's amazing work that's happening, but the thing that I wanted to feature is in 2018, we instituted our 6th grade writing class, and in 2019, we instituted our 7th grade writing class. Those were brand new classes. Every 6th grader and every 7th grader began to take. And one of the things that makes teaching reading and writing a little bit different than some of the other subject areas is that our standards often don't change year to year. Some of our standards are actually the exact same in kindergarten as they are in 12th grade. We're asking students to do the same process with reading, comprehending what they're reading, writing, expressing themselves with clarity in their writing. We're asking them to do the same things, just at different levels of complexity over time. I kind of think about it like if you're teaching a kid to play basketball, what do? You dribble, you shoot, you pass. Whether you're in the NBA or you're a first grader, you do the same thing. You just do it at greater complexity. How do you get a kid to become a better dribbler? Well, they have to have good coaching. They have to have good instruction, but they have to do it again and again and again and again and again. If they just have the instruction, but they do not have quantity, they don't have the reps to go along with the quality instruction, they're not going to have that growth. That's reading and writing instruction in a nutshell. We provide our students with as high quality instruction as we can, but we know they need reps. So adding that 6th and 7th grade writing class was huge because it gave our kids more time to spend in text, expressing themselves. And so that 6th and 7th grade writing class was a huge game changer. We really appreciate Dr. Valdez led a lot of that work when we put that in place a handful of years back. Here is our high school data over the last few years. We do have a couple of spots where we lag, specifically at the master's level. We were an early adopter of the online testing platform, so we knew that that was going to be a Band-Aid we'd have to rip off, and so we did it a little bit early, and we saw a little bit of loss there in some of our scores, but we anticipate that will benefit our students long-term as they have more experience with it. The thing that I wanted to feature when I talked about high school is we talked about these literacy beliefs. We've talked about this comprehensive literacy plan. We've mentioned the term framework multiple times. I just wanted to explain what we're talking about when we talk about a framework. An instructional framework is an organization so that teachers, students, our curriculum is all aligned. We have instructional frameworks for kindergarten through 2, 3rd through 5th grade, 6th through 8th grade, 9th through 12th grade. All of our literacy frameworks work together. So we use common language, we use common instructional practices, we operate towards the same big goals. They're aligned to our literacy beliefs. For us in high school, our literacy framework is built on this book, 180 Days, and we have 5 moves: read, write, study, create, share. If you go into any of my high school English classrooms, you're going to see that on the board. If you go into our high school curriculum, you're going to see that in our curriculum documents. If you go to one of my professional developments, you're going to hear me talking about read, write, study, create, share. We talk about it over and over and over again. And what our teachers have is they have a guide then for each of these different instructional moves. What does a teacher do during that part of a class period? What does a student do? What is the evidence that it's being successful? We help them to define it. We want to make sure that our foundation of what we're doing always links back to common practices, common beliefs, so that you're talking about things like, the star changing. We're talking about things like TEKS changing. If we know that our foundation of what we are doing in literacy is built on solid and strong beliefs, when they do give us new TEKS, we don't have to tear down the house and rebuild a new house. It might pull up the old carpet and put new carpet down, right? We might have to rearrange the furniture when we have a ECR at every single grade level, but we believe that what we are pursuing in literacy is bigger, and it goes much further than what the test is concerned about. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Hobbs, unless anyone has a question.
I just have one question. So the commissioner was saying that they're going to score the writing differently. So if a child wrote, they at least got some sort of credit. Correct me, or no. Now it's zero.
Well,
It has, and it's going to be electronically scored, correct? AI scored or something like that?
for the first year, they are using AI scoring for.
This is all new because he
ECR.
just rolled this out and was talking about it, so I wanted your professional opinion here.
My
Put you on the
professional
spot.
opinion is that
You don't, I don't want it, okay.
there's not been very thorough communication
Okay.
of how that electronic scoring is going to work. In fact, it was implemented for the December retest of the English 1 and English 2 EOCs, without that being published very clearly. And typically, after students test, we are able to see their ECRs, their essays. We're able to look at those. We're able to evaluate them. We're able to look for patterns. We're able to see what our students are doing well and make instructional adjustments based on that. But after these computers scored our last round of tests, we didn't get to see them. So we don't even have the chance to pick up on the
It's not very
patterns.
transparent
Yeah,
right
no.
now. Okay.
They have said that they are going to clarify that process going forward for us. But I think that until they work out some of the kinks behind their closed doors over the next couple of months, we probably won't know
Okay.
much about that.
I look forward to hearing more as we know more.
We just have to stick with the rubric. We do have the rubric, and we need
Okay.
to make sure that our students understand the rubric and what they're graded against, and that teachers are helping our students understand that and make those authentic writing moves.
Thank you.
And like we talked about, this is what our summer marketing will look like for summer reading. We're sticking with read, write, repeat because it's just what we want our kids to do. And so you'll see marketing coming out for elementary incentives. Last year we started a junior high blog with so much success. So we hope to see that to continue to grow. And then bringing so much choice for our high school students, whereas in the past they might have been stuck to read one novel and then have to do something with it. But we really value choice. And so you'll see tweets come out. We highly recommend that anytime you're caught reading during the summer, you post it on Twitter and hashtag it with Alvin ISD Reads so that we can see that all of our Alvin ISD community is part of that summer reading. And then I just want to spend just a few moments talking about social studies because I do have the privilege of overseeing social studies and literacy for the district. And again, we talked about when you look 5 years back, our data didn't always look this green. And as you can see, it's a process moving into the green. But we've also identified an instructional framework for social studies as well. And we have included some research-based moves that have supported our junior high, 8th grade history students. And you can see that growth as it pertains to the last 3 years. And then our high school EOC, these are 11th graders that take the 11th grade history test. Historically, we've been in the green with 11th grade, so we've just continued that process. But as you can see, they continue to make growth and far exceed the state. So again, just like our favorite stories in literacy, we have our same story, the things that are helping with that growth. The experience with our instructional coaches. We've had the same group of instructional coaches for the last few years, and their depth of knowledge and their ability to pass on that knowledge to their teachers has really made an impact. We also started a couple years ago with some authentic writing opportunities in social studies before the STAR changed and they were expected to write in social studies. So I believe that we were already in front of that process. So that's continued to help us show growth. And then a focus on student conversation. Many of the words, the vocabulary words that they're expected to know on both of these STAR tests are not words that you will use in everyday conversation. And so students have to practice using them in conversation, in their writing, in order to be prepared to see them on the STAR test. And the beauty of that is that in our revised TEKS, I apologize, I know this is so small, but you will see at the very bottom is that all students must now engage in civil discourse. So we were already ahead of that when we were having our students speak in the social studies classroom, as well as the middle revised TEK is writing. And so we truly feel, as an Alvin ISD literacy family, we are moving our students in authentic ways that do match up with the standards, but we were already moving that direction. And then when they're able to do it authentically, it transfers to their ability to do it on the STAR test on that one day. So what does the next chapter look like? We will continue our feedback cycles because we know that makes an impact on how we support the district. It makes an impact on what we do for professional learning. It makes an impact on how we continue to support our administrators and our literacy coaches and our teachers so that our students get the very best. We'll continue our vertical alignment as far as making sure that a student from pre-K all the way through their 12th grade year have common framework of understanding and instruction. They have the ability to have authentic literacy practices every day. We want to read a little, write a little, and repeat so that we can grow lifelong readers, effective communicators, profound writers, and literate citizens. And so all of that cannot be done without an amazing team who are here today. Joni Wyndham, Michelle Abney Kaler, Natalie Buford, Coyley Harness, Dr. Glenn Russell, who you met, and Virginia Lively, if y'all would just wave. This is just part of the literacy team. So this team leads the
amazing.
charge. They're absolutely amazing, and I'm thankful I get to work with them every day to help support every one of our employees, and so our students get what they deserve every day.
And each one of them have been in the district for many, many years as well. So they've been.
Many of them are
thank you.
graduates of Alvin High School,
Yes.
as well.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. One of our trustees brought up class size, and I know several years ago, and I just want to get several years ago, we looked at class size. We looked at, of course, being a fast growth district, 22-1 was just a number that the state pulled out, right? And so we looked at what if we reduce class size, and what did we, Dr. Valdez, it was before I was superintendent, you were instrumental in doing some research on that. What was the finding?
So looking at the research, you had to go really low, like 10 to 12 students for it to make a difference.
And so what were the challenges when we looked? Staffing?
Staffing in a fast growth
Cost.
district, obviously the space.
Oh, space, yeah.
To be able to add additional classrooms.
Because would be like doubling your classrooms because you're splitting your class size. So that's one of the things we've done is with the small group instruction is we tried to meet the needs through that versus, because we don't have the space, but also the cost, that's double your staff pretty much, at least in all of your elementary areas. Any other information, anything else y'all can think of to share on that topic?
A lot of good information out there. We know y'all are working and working hard. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I thought that was an excellent presentation.
Great.
I very much appreciate you and everything you do for our students.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank all the literacy team. Very good.
All right. We are now in the open forum session. We're now in the open forum portion of the agenda. If you would like to address the board, you should have completed a public participation form and submitted it to the superintendent secretary prior to the meeting according to policy BED local. After I call your name, please come to the podium, state your name and the purpose for your addressing the board. Please understand that you will have 3 minutes to speak. Yet if 10 or more speakers have signed up to speak, the board president shall have the discretion to reduce the limit to no less than 1 minute based on time constraints on the conduct of board business. If a translator is needed, you will be given 6 minutes to speak. I respectfully ask that you make no derogatory statements about any student or staff of Alvin ISD. I ask that you also understand that the board cannot take action on your request or comment at this time. However, the president or designee may refer the request to the superintendent for review. And first up is Shirley Brothers.
Thank you. My name is Shirley Brothers. I didn't say the address. I don't do that, do I? Don't have to do that. Y'all know where I live. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight about important issues that affect young people in our community, our state, and our nation every single day. The month of April holds two important awareness topics, child abuse and child sexual abuse. We all need to acknowledge that we each play a part in promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in our community. We need to all be working to raise public awareness that child abuse and child sexual abuse, and to educate communities on how to recognize and hopefully prevent it. Child abuse and child sexual abuse occurs at every socioeconomic level, across ethnic and cultural lines, within all religions, and at all levels of education. However, the prevalence of child abuse, especially child sexual abuse, is difficult to determine. There were 575 cases of child abuse, including child sexual abuse, in Brazoria County in 2023. But that number is greater because so many cases go unreported. Sadly, children between the ages of 7 and 13 are the most vulnerable, and equally as sad is that 3 out of 4 who have been sexually abused were victimized by someone they knew well. Tragically, 45% of these victims will not disclose that abuse for 5 or more years. Survivors of abuse face lifelong consequences, including mental health issues, PTSD, learning difficulties, and more. While this information is grim, 95% of abuse is preventable through education and awareness, not just for the kiddos, but for the educators and parents as well. Just like so many other tragic situations that our kiddos go through, child abuse, including child sexual abuse, is traumatic. When a child experiences a traumatic event, the entire family is affected. We must raise awareness and highlight the importance of supporting children and families who are victims, because victims and their families truly do live with the trauma for the rest of their lives. We must keep telling their story, not only because of the devastation of the abuse, but to also show the hope and the strength that sustains survivors. Victims of sexual abuse don't get over it or move on from their trauma. They are forced to make space for it, to carry it, and to learn to live with it, and sometimes, miraculously, they thrive in spite of it. I continue to say we need to stop asking what's wrong with that child and ask what's happened to that child. So to raise awareness, please accept, Renee's going to help me, these pinwheels, compliments of the Brazoria County Brazoria County Alliance for Children, and the lapel pins that are compliments of the Brazoria County Child Welfare Board, as a reminder that we all play a part in protecting every young person in our community. Thanks again for the opportunity, you all, to bring awareness of child abuse and child sexual abuse that sadly happens to some kiddos every single day. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Shirley.
All right, next we have Cedric Pearson.
How you doing? My name is Cedric Pearson. I'm the owner of CP Media, and I'm an Army veteran. I served 12 years in the 82nd Airborne Division in the 1st Special Forces Group. I served 6 tours into Iraq and have been in many situations where receiving and having vital information resulted in my life being saved and the life of others. The purpose of me being here is to create a partnership with the Alvin ISD to present a visual emergency response system called VERS that will enhance the security preparedness for each school, providing first responders vital information about the location they're being called to. This will be done by scanning each school, creating a 3D walkthrough of the entire building, every hallway, stairwell, classroom, and office. Since 1970, Texas has been the second leading state in the country for school shootings. In 2023, there was 346 school shooting incidents across the country, averaging nearly 1 per day. Texas saw 23 incidents in that time frame, and it's sure to increase. Alvin is home to approximately 29,000 students across 33 schools and growing. In the 2022-23 Alvin ISD annual report, one of the objectives was to create a campus improvement plan. When first responders are called to a school, every second counts. Them being prepared to make important decisions is not possible if they don't have the necessary information. A visual emergency response system of each school will provide police, fire, and EMS the necessary information for a rapid response. In simple terms, VERS will support first responders by providing a detailed safety tool for each campus, which includes 3D imagery of each school, 2D floor plans, database entry, integration for live student information in the classroom, and aerial footage of each campus and surrounding areas, so that first responders and school personnel can properly plan a rescue, minimizing loss and saving lives. Not only is this a safety tool, but this can be used as a training module for first responders, district staff, and students for active shooting training and mandatory school drills. Implementation of this type of plan would also satisfy the need for each school to have an up-to-date campus improvement plan, be part of the school district audit report, and also the multi-hazard emergency operation required by Texas Education Code. Sadly, the occurrence of mass shootings is too close to home. Santa Fe shooting 2018, killing 8 students, 2 teachers. Uvalde shooting May 2022, killing 19 students, 2 teachers, and the most recent active shooter threat early this year at Lakewood Church. The time is now, and I live in this community, and I'm a father of a student within the ISD, Alvin ISD. So this is just not business. This is personal to ensure the safety and the confidence in community and peace of mind of school safety. I'm certain the implementation of this information system can be implemented within.
I hate to cut you off, but we have to hold it to the 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to the consent agenda items. Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G as presented?
So moved.
By trustee Selsky, do we have a second? By trustee Harris, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have request to consider approval of innovative course, strategic learning in high school mathematics for local high school credit.
So board, this is a course designed for ninth graders who have been unsuccessful in eighth grade STAR math standards, focusing on identifying, correcting common learning errors to improve mathematical understanding and performance. In addition to the introduction of Algebra 1 math standards, students will learn skills to improve math learning and study habits such as error analysis, strategic learning, critical thinking, problem solving, study habits, self-regulation, collaboration, independence, and intellectual curiosity. Students who are unsuccessful on the eighth grade STAR standards will be placed in this course. And this is a TEA innovative course that our educators have sought out to implement into Alvin ISD.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the new academic course proposal 2024-2025?
So moved.
By trustee Johnson, second by trustee Harris. Any questions or comments?
I got a question. In a normal date, when would this course be?
Offered.
So, right, how do they?
So it probably would be offered, depending on the number of students, it'd be offered multiple times throughout the day. So if, let's say the student's in fine arts or in athletics or something, it wouldn't interfere with their, but it is going to take a place of an elective, correct?
And they'll take Algebra 1 concurrently with it.
Gotcha, that's what I was, okay.
That's good.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have request to consider approval of cooperative purchase to install 3 new heat pump air-cooled chillers and associated pumps for Lewis Lane Center.
So board pursuant of CH Legal whereby we can purchase from the state of Texas cooperative approved vendor, and CH Local whereas we must receive approval from the board for any expenditure exceeding $75,000. We request consideration for approval to evaluate and reward proposals to install 3 new heat pump air-cooled chillers and associated pumps for Lewis Lane Center, and you have an updated memo at your place for the cost of that.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the evaluate proposal and award based on best value of the district that will work within the $600,000 budget? Trustee Scott, do we have a second? Second. Trustee Johnson, any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have request to consider approval of cooperative purchase to install new HVAC controls for Lewis Lane Center.
So Board, as the same in pursuant of CH Legal and CH Local, this purchase would exceed $75,000 as well. So the recommendation is consideration for approval of the automated logic to perform the controls upgrade, not to exceed the budget of $350,000, but the amount came out to $250,000.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the evaluate proposal and award best on the best value to the district that will work within the $350,000 budget? So by trustee Selsky, do we have a second? By trustee Scott. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have request consider approval of extension of professional contracts.
So Board, attached are teacher contracts and other professionals throughout the district, and so asking for consideration for approval of their contracts.
All right, do we have a motion to approve professional contract recommendations for extensions as listed? Trustee Harris, do we have a second? By trustee Selsky. Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor? All opposed? And I will abstain. Motion carries 4-0 and 1 abstain. Request to consider approval of employment of personnel.
So Board, attached are a list of some classroom teacher facilitators who have completed their certifications and requirements to be offered a contract, teacher contract. So we're asking for consideration because they're great recommendations from their principals and they've gone through the HR process, and so we're asking for consideration.
Do we have a motion approval be granted for requested personnel items as presented? By trustee Scott, second by trustee Harris. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Next, request to consider approval of administrative appointments, assistant principals.
So Board, our interview committee has been interviewing assistant principals recently, and so this morning we finished up on the first round of assistant principals. So these are to be determined once we get them all named. Our first recommendation for consideration is Ms. Carrie Jeffries. She's currently serving her second year at Iowa Colony High School as the English instructional coach, department chair, and teacher. Dr. Russell's like, oh man, I'm losing an instructional coach. She's previously served 2 years at Manville High School as an English teacher and department chair, and 1 year at Shadow Creek High School as an English teacher. We tried to talk her into going to Alvin High School since she's been at all three now, the other three. Prior to her time in Alvin ISD, she also taught English in 5 years at Nacogdoches High School. She has over 10 years of experience in education, with 5 of those in Alvin ISD. She received her bachelor's degree in English from Stephen F. Austin University, Mr. Scott, and her master's degree in educational administration from Lamar University. So we are asking for consideration to name Ms. Carrie Jeffries as a to-be-determined school assistant principal. To be determined meaning location, assistant principal.
All right, do we have a motion to approve Carrie Jeffries as assistant principal, site to be determined? Trustee Selsky, second by trustee Scott. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
So Carrie, if you, this is Ms. Jeffries, if you'll introduce your family that you brought with you this evening.
My husband, Jacob Jeffries, he's a teacher and coach at Manville High School. This is my son, Wyatt Moody. He is a freshman at Manville High School. And my daughter, Kate, is a 7th grader at Manville Junior High.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Okay, our second recommendation for a school assistant principal recommendation is Miss Alicia Reyna. She's currently serving her first year at Duke Elementary as the GT teacher and science department head. She previously served 7 years at EC Mason Elementary as a teacher and Brazosport ISD for 4 years as a teacher and 9 years as an interventionist. She attended Alvin ISD's Future Administrator Academy and has over 21 years of experience in education, with 8 years serving in Alvin ISD. She received her bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University and master's degree in educational management from the University of Houston Clear Lake. So we're asking the board for consideration of approval for Ms. Reyna as an assistant principal.
Do we have a, well, let me go back up here. Do we have a motion to approve, and let me go back, Alicia Reyna for assistant principal to be determined?
So moved.
By Mr. Johnson, second by trustee Scott. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations. So Alicia, will you introduce your family?
My husband Robert, and my oldest is Gabriel. He's at Iowa Colony. He's in the band there. My middle is Joel, and he's at Jackie Caffey. And then my youngest, Elijah, is at Duke with me.
Congratulations. Okay, our third, and I'm going to skip the one that's I'm going to go out of order here. So the third assistant principal to be determined, or the campus to be stated later, is Mr. Nicholas Kinsey. He's currently serving his third year as an assistant principal at St. Thomas More Parish School with the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. He previously served 9 years with Alvin ISD as a teacher and instructional coach at Fairview Junior High, the head coach and taught a biology teacher at Shadow Creek High School, and a teacher coach at Alvin High School and Harvey Junior High School. Prior to his time with Alvin ISD, Nicholas taught and coached for 2 years at Spring Branch Middle School and Spring Branch ISD and 1 year at Gatesville Junior High. Nicholas has over 15 years of experience in education, 9 of those being with Alvin ISD. He's received his bachelor's degree in poultry science from Texas A&M University. Are you sure you didn't want to be an ag teacher at some point? Maybe you can volunteer because, there's a new chapter of FFA out there at Iowa Colony High School. His master's degree in educational leadership from Stephen F. Austin, and he's currently working on his doctorate at St. Thomas University. So I'm asking consideration of the board for Mr. Nicholas Kinsey for an assistant principal position.
All right, do we have a motion to approve be granted for Nicholas Kinsey for an assistant principal position?
So moved.
Trustee Harris, we have a second by trustee Scott. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Kinsey, congratulations. Will you introduce your guest?
Yes, so I brought my wife Jennifer. My 3 children are home. One is preparing for a STAR test. So, we want her to get some rest tonight, and the other one is slipped out from the board this summer.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
So do they attend Alvin schools?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
My
Just,
oldest, my daughter, she is at Meridian Elementary in 4th grade, and the middle child is in kindergarten at Meridiana, and the youngest will be here at Meridiana in the next 2 years.
wonderful. Congratulations again. Okay, and our fourth AP that we're recommending, or well, do we have more? No, fourth AP this evening to be determined is Ms. Susanna Soto. Ms. Soto is currently serving her second year as the past behavior specialist at EC Mason Elementary School. She previously served EC Mason and Merrick Elementary School as the ELA resource inclusion teacher. She was at Don Jeter Elementary for 3 years as a bilingual teacher. Susanna also served 2 years with Killeen ISD as a teacher at Peoples Elementary School. She has over 15 years of experience in education, with 12 of them serving in Alvin ISD. She received her bachelor's from the University of Houston Clear Lake and her master's degree in educational administration from the University of Texas. Got any Longhorns in the room? So the board, board, I'm recommending and asking for consideration of Ms. Soto for assistant principal at a location to be determined.
All right, do we have a motion for approval be granted for Susanna Soto for assistant principal, site to be determined? By trustee Scott, second by trustee Johnson. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Soto? So will you introduce your family?
So this is my husband, Daniel, my littlest child, Christian Elijah, my daughter, Nayeli, my daughter, Liliana, my son, Daniel, my daughter, Sophia, and my daughter, Vanessa.
So, Ms. Soto, are they all in Alvin ISD, or?
So my three oldest have moved on to Friendswood, but they were all from a feeder pattern of Alvin ISD. And my younger three, well, she's in UC Mason, she's at UC Mason, and he will be at UC Mason.
Wonderful. So can you come up for a minute, because I want you to share a brief story about your experience when you left Alvin ISD? Just briefly, you don't have to tell I'm sorry, I'm taking you away. He can come up with you. He's fine. Okay. Will you just tell a little bit? I thought it was a wonderful, it just really kind of was a testimonial kind of for Alvin ISD. So talk about why you left Alvin ISD and why you're back.
Well, I originally had left Alvin ISD. Ooh, I'm getting nervous. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I had left Alvin ISD because my husband joined the military, and so we kind of went on a military journey. We went to Washington State, and as soon as we got back to Texas, we were in Fort Hood, and so I went straight back to work because I can't be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I love you guys, but I just can't do it. Not with 6, right? And when I arrived at Killeen, I was talking to the superintendent, and I told her that when I arrived there, so I did bilingual program, and it was a 90-10. And so what that means is 90 Spanish and 10 English, second grade. And I was like, whoa. Dr. Mercuri told me in Alvin ISD that it needs to be a 50-50. We got to get the foundation going. And so, make long story short, I asked for my guided reading books, and they kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? And so it became a journey for me, and my principal there actually had me train the staff and some other schools on the guided reading and the bilingual program that we do here in Alvin ISD. So I want to thank you, board, for always putting the students first and the teachers as well, because as a teacher here in Alvin ISD, as soon as we came back, my husband said, where do we want to live? We're going to go to San Antonio. I said, well, I'm going back to Alvin ISD. I said, they care for their teachers. We had all kinds of resources. And so I really appreciate what the Literacy Collaborative that y'all offered and the training for the bilingual program. I mean, the kids have the best. And like they mentioned, the presentation was wonderful because, yes, I mean, everything that they help us do and all the resources they give us, it really helps us to be better teachers. And like your question about the kids that are struggling, we do interventions, we do small groups, we do everything we can so they can come up. I was a reading resource teacher for many years, and all those resources were given to me by our department, and thanks to you guys for providing the funding. So thank you, board, I appreciate y'all, and thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I didn't ask her to say that part. I just wanted her to share the Colleen and why she came back. So thank you.
Perfect, it was a perfect.
Well, thank you. It kind of did matter. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Ms. Rives, you may want to put her in a commercial or something.
All right. Next, we have request to consider approval of administrative appointment, Principal Jackie Caffey Junior High.
Okay, so board, our committee met and they're recommended to me, and then we interviewed Dr. Jerry Nelson, and he's currently serving his 4th year as an assistant principal at Ron McNair Junior High School, Dr. Ronald McNair Junior High School. He also served for 5 years as a teacher at Harvey Junior High. Prior to his time in education, Jerry served his community for over 39 years as a minister of his church. In 2017, he was named Harvey Junior High Teacher of the Year. He has over 8 years' experience in education, and all of those being in Alvin ISD. Jerry received his bachelor's degree in Christian ministry from Abilene Christian, his master's of divinity degree from Abilene Christian, and his doctorate of ministry from Abilene Christian. So our recommendation for consideration to the board is Dr. Nelson to lead the staff at Jackie Caffey Junior High.
All right, do we have a motion to approve Dr. Jerry Nelson as Principal Jackie Caffey Junior High?
So moved.
By trustee Selsky. Do we have a second by trustee Scott? Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Dr. Nelson? Will you introduce your family?
This is
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. We look forward to it.
All right. Next, we have request to consider approval of administrative appointment, Principal Manville High School.
Sorry, I missed my page here. Okay, so recommendation from the committee, and my recommendation to the board is Ms. Jamie Baldwin. She's currently serving her second year as principal at Rodeo Palms Junior High. She previously served Alvin ISD for 1 year as associate principal at Alvin High School, 1 year as assistant principal at Fairview Junior High, and 2 years as an assistant principal at Manville High School. Jamie began her career here in Alvin ISD at Manville High School as a math teacher for 5 years and as an instructional math coach for 2 years. She started her campus administration experience as an assistant principal at Brabham Middle School and Willis ISD. She's had the honor of being named 2016 Manville High School's Teacher of the Year, and then went on to be selected as the 2016 Alvin ISD Secondary Teacher of the Year. Jamie has 15 years of experience in education, 14 of those in Alvin ISD. She received her bachelor's degree in math from Texas Lutheran University and her master's degree in educational leadership from Lamar University. Did you play sports at TLU? No? Were you there when Dr. B was there? No? I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. So I'm asking for consideration for Ms. Baldwin to be named principal at Manville High School.
All right, do we have a motion for approval be granted for Jamie Baldwin for Principal Manville High School?
So moved.
By Trustee Johnson, do we have a second by Trustee Scott? Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Baldwin? So will you introduce the guests that you brought?
So, of course, I have my sister, Chelsea, both of my parents, Jimmy and Cheryl, my aunt and uncle, James and Beulah, lots of my Manville people. So you talk Miss Owens, who's from the APs, Miss Miles, which is the math instructional coach, Miss Davis, which is the math department chair, my math is from Ruth. I have my assistant principal currently at Rodeo, Miss Alexander. I saw this whole so I'm excited to join Lisa and Christy. Me and Brandon have been able to be good community partners, and then of course, thank you so much, Dr. Flowers.
I see Coach Martin back there, too. She knows everyone in the room.
But thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Yes, we know.
To serve in this capacity and go back to where I started my career.
So I have one question, because when we did our interview Monday, so what are you worried about? And she said, well, I'm not worried. My mom's worried about her outfit. So Mom, stand up. Let's see what you're wearing. She wore blue. Red or blue, that's what I heard. It was. She gave marching orders. Thank you. We look forward to your leadership at Manville High School. Congratulations.
Next, we have request to consider approval of administrative appointment, Assistant Athletic Director.
So board, yes. So board, this evening, the recommendation from the committee was Coach Darren Andrus. He's currently serving his third year with Alvin ISD as lead Edgenuity facilitator and football track coach at Manville High School. Darren previously served Fort Bend ISD for 4 years as assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, and 11 years as athletic coordinator and head coach of Kempner High School. He also served 1 year with Brazosport ISD as a teacher assistant head coach and junior high athletic liaison coordinator. Darren has 19 years of experience in education, and 3 of those years here in Alvin ISD. He received his bachelor's from McNeese State University and his master's in administration from Texas A&M University. So my recommendation for consideration to the board is Mr. Darren, or Coach Darren Andrus.
All right, do we have a motion of approval be granted for Assistant Athletic Director Darren Andrus?
So moved.
By Trustee Harris, do we have a second? By Trustee Johnson, any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Coach Andrews? So will you introduce the guests you brought?
Yes, ma'am. This is my wife, Deanne. This is my youngest daughter, Kendall, who went to Passmore through 5th grade. She is going to be going off to Texas A&M in the fall. Real quick, funny story. I had Shirley Brothers sit here. When I first came here in 1996, the district was a little bit different looking. She put us all in a bus, and we drove around the block, I think, and we came back and saw all the facilities.
So we've grown, right?
But I appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with Mike and Carla, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, next we have request to consider approval of administrative appointment, Executive Director of Technology.
So Board, the committee's recommended Ms. Heather Brown. She's currently serving her 4th year as Director of Technology in Santa Fe ISD. She previously served Santa Fe for 2 years as a math science instructional coach. For 3 years, Heather served as the Assistant Director of the STEM Teacher Equity Project at University of Houston, and 11 years with Alvin ISD as a 5th grade math, science, and social studies teacher. Heather has over 20 years of experience in education, 11 of those serving in Alvin ISD. She received her bachelor's in environmental science from University of Houston Clear Lake and her master's degree in curriculum and instruction from the University of Houston. So we're asking for consideration for Ms. Brown to be our Executive Director of Technology.
All right, do we have a motion for approval be granted for Heather Brown for Executive Director of Technology? Trustee Scott, second by Trustee Selsky. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations. Heather, did you bring guests? I know I see colleagues. Okay, oh, yeah, I do have a. Okay.
He's at home, and then my grandson's birthday's tonight, so the family is celebrating him. I do have a dear friend here, Amy, that we actually taught together back in the day, so I'm very honored to have her here.
Oh, congratulations.
And don't forget, all of y'all stay after that got appointed. We'll take pictures.
You might get a medal. No, I'm joking.
All right, at this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. By Trustee Johnson. All in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned.